Hello. This is just a really super quick small project that you can do. We're going to be making freezer bags. I'm making one for my neighbor actually. For headaches. I just got 2 scraps and they don't match, which I actually did that on purpose. I wanted one to have a pattern on one side and I want to have a different pattern on the other side. But I mean, they don't match as far as like length goes. So obviously I'm just going to sew the length of the white and then trim off the excess. But what we're going to do is I'm just going to do a half-inch seam allowance. No, maybe I should do a 3/8. I'm going to do a 3/8 seam allowance, which is the first line. Put that in there, and I'm just seriously going to sew straight down, sew across. We're going to make an open edged bag right here, and then we're going to fill it up. Remember to back up. Actually, I'm sewing on a 1/2 inch because I suck. Okay, when you get down here to the corner, we're going to raise the needle, lift the foot, pivot, set it back down. Actually, you don't even have to raise the needle. I'm just an idiot. That is way too far over. These are usually, I usually hand stitch these. So this is actually the first time I'm making one on a sewing machine. Okay, I'm going to sew right back down. I'm going to put the foot back down, and I'm going to sew right along the line that I just sewed, because it has to be, I'm going to put rice in this, so it has to be a very strong seam. So let's get the needle in there. If you have your hand on this side helping guide, be careful, because this thing right here can come down and slam your finger. And usually when I do these, I will also do a blind stitch on the inside when I'm sewing the top together, but I'm just going to do a top stitch and let it be visible. Like I said, this is just a super duper quick one. I'm going to trim the excess off. This turned out a little bit more narrow than I thought, because I can't sew in a straight line. But that's okay, because this is a headache pack. So it's specifically to go just on your forehead or over your eyes. And because of that, we're not going to fill it very full. If you fill it too full, then it's heavy, and the last thing you want is a big weight on top of your eyes. Trust me, I have one of these that I made in like a long size, so that I can use it behind my neck and stuff. But for your actual going over your eyes, you don't want it to be that heavy. Now we're just gonna turn this inside out. Well, I turned it inside out, but I'm gonna use a pen or whatever that'll fit down in there. Pen, pencil. I'm using the end of my seam ripper, and you see that I'm just poking out those corners. Alright, our bag is complete, and I'm going to get the rice. I was a total dork and forgot that when you're putting rice in, you actually want the top seam to go ahead and be mostly sewn together. Otherwise it'll spill everywhere, which I'm not thinking straight today. Everybody has days like that, so I'm just going to go ahead and, if you saw, I folded that on the inside. See, I'm not thinking. I just hit the reverse thing to try to put the needle down. I'm going to go really slow. Just leave a small opening, because all you need is to be able to get a funnel down there. See, that top is nice and tight. We're going to get a funnel. Alright, I'm just using plain white rice. I'm gonna scoop about 3/4 of a cup in here, and then what I'm gonna do is open up this, which I should have done that before I got the rice out. I'm fixing to see if this is gonna make for a really good video or not. Lavender essential oil. Now, for headaches, lavender's good, and you can also mix lavender and peppermint. That's really good for headaches, but I'm not sure if the lady I'm making it for likes peppermint. I know she likes lavender, so you're going to put a few drops straight down into the rice. I think I use about 8 to 12 drops, something like that. And then we're going to shake that down in here. You have to go potty again? Okay, hold on. Okay. Now this bag, when you pick it up, you see it's about half full. That'll enable it to bend, not be too heavy, and bend around our eyes. We're going to move this back and forth a little bit, get that lavender kind of stirred up in there. Man, it smells good. You got a potty, honey? Hold on. Potty break. Now I'm going to very carefully sew this back together. When you make these rice packs, they are to stay in the freezer at all times. That will keep the rice from molding because of the moisture And the rice pack that I made myself 2 years ago. Still smells like lavender and peppermint, still going strong. You put it in a Ziploc freezer bag. I go to the dollar store and buy the gallon Ziploc freezer bags. Monkey, can I finish this? And you put it in a freezer bag and just throw it on one of the shelves in your freezer, and I put mine on the door, in the door. And but you always make sure that it stays frozen. And you can microwave these. You can put them in the microwave. For a big one I tested, a minute and a half was tops. It'll start smelling. You can smell the rice, and it'll be like a hot moisture to it. They work great as heat packs, but because I just specifically use mine for headache packs, I don't ever need to heat it up. Plus, I do not own a microwave anymore. I'm going to spin this around and do it one more time back this way, because that got off course just a little bit, and I want to make extra sure this thing is tight. Like I said, if you're making this for like Christmas gifts or whatever, and you want it to be super duper awesome, nice, do a ladder stitch, which is called a blind stitch on the inside, so that there's no top seam like this. But I'm just doing this for my neighbor. She's been having really bad headaches because of the heat, and I'm just trying to get her something quick. And actually, I'm going to go ahead and throw this in my freezer, so that when she gets home and I give it to her, it'll already be cold and she can use it on her head. So that's how you make a little quick freezer / heat pack for your head. And rice is cheap. Okay. Today I'm going to make some just basic sugar cookies for rolling and cutting. Matt loves these sugar cookies. He loves this recipe, and I don't know how to decorate cookies really well, but I want to, so I need to start practicing. So I'm going to go ahead and make some Halloween designs and start practicing decorating, so maybe I can make some decent ones for my neighbor when the time comes. So we're going to start off. I've got one egg right here, and I like to put the vanilla in with the egg. I'm going to use a tablespoon of vanilla. Whole tablespoon of vanilla. And I like to put it in with the egg and then whisk it in with the egg. Whisk it all together. Is there a particular reason? I guess not. But it just seems to, I don't know. I just do it that way. Seems to mix it well. Everybody has their own thing. And I like to mix the egg with the vanilla when I make sugar cookies. The butter is room temperature. Room temperature means when you press down, you get a little indentation. That's a cup of butter. And I always use unsalted butter, always. Also, when something's room temperature, when the butter is room temperature, it will bend, but not break. If it breaks, it's still too cold. That's room temperature butter. I'm going to go ahead and mix the 1 cup of butter and 1 cup of sugar. I'm going to go ahead and whip them together. I'm sorry, I just washed this and I did not have it dried and prepared. That's my bad. 1 cup of butter, 1 cup of sugar. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to whip these, and I'm going to nay-nay them. I have to. When it starts getting harder to whip together, start bringing it more. When it's creamed together like this, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to add my egg vanilla mixture. Ugh, I hate that sound. And I'm going to mix these together. See, I've got that all whipped together now. You should be able to see that, I hope so. Alright. As always, sift your dry ingredients. This calls for 3 cups of AP flour. I don't use self-rising flour. If you use self-rising flour, leave out the salt and the baking powder. So what I normally do is I'm going to put 1 cup in here. Go ahead and put that right there. And then I'll go ahead and add 2 cups first. Yeah. It's time for me to add the other bag in here. So there's 2 cups right there. And it's 1 teaspoon of baking powder. Make sure it's powder and not soda. That's a totally different leavener. And it calls for a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I don't really like to measure. I pour a little bit in my hand. I did a salt thing not long ago. And for some reason, I don't know what happened, but the salt did not disperse well, and so I got one really salty bite. So I'm going to go ahead and sift that in a little bit. Actually, I need to put that other thing of flour on here. I will edit this out. I just got flour all over my kitchen. I'm going to sift that in there. Normally I wouldn't put all the flour in at one time, but for this recipe I have found that it really does not matter if I put in just a little bit at a time or if I put it all in at a time. And now that I've made a mess, put your beaters in there, start off slow. Make sure you scrape down the sides good with your beaters. It's a little while. This is when I wish I had a KitchenAid stand mixer, but I do not. So what you gonna do? See how it's all kind of like that? That's fine. Because the rest of it, I'm going to pull together by hand. Make sure everything's up off the bottom. And that's one thing I forgot to get. Normally I'm pretty clean when I cook, but sometimes I get a little wild with the flour. And that's okay. What was that? Monkey. What was that? Were you partying back there? I heard it. I don't know what that was. What I'm going to do is I'm going to separate, form it into a ball. We're going to wrap it up. Make a nice little disc. That's going to go in the fridge for about 30 minutes to chill. Okay, so I made a little bit of a foobar. I've totally forgot that I need to go to the store and get parchment paper. I'm in desperate need of new baking pans, and I absolutely refuse to bake on the pans that I have because they're in such bad shape without parchment paper. So I need to get some parchment paper, but that's okay. We'll go and get some after dinner, and that's fine because we had a little sewing project today. I went ahead and I made the dough, so that just means tomorrow we get to roll, cut, and decorate cookies. I'm looking forward to that. I hope you are too. It doesn't hurt the dough to sit in for 24 hours. That dough is actually good to freeze. You can actually freeze that dough if you want to. So tomorrow I'll just set it on the counter for about 20-30 minutes till it gets malleable, and we'll roll it out, cut some cookies, get to decorating. Join me.